is the Writer's Almanac for Saturday. It's the 27th of March, 2021. The first section of the Washington Metro opened on this date, 1976, about 9 years after the Transit Authority had been created. It was a complicated project, and the first general manager was Major General Jackson Graham, who pushed construction to start as soon as possible. He said, if we get a big enough hole in the ground, they can't stop us. So the Red Line opened on this day, 1976, about 4.5 miles. Now the Metro covers 118 miles. The Silver Line was the last to be finished. It's the birthday of the novelist and poet Julia Alvarez, born New York City, 1950, grew up in the Dominican Republic, came back to New York when she was 10 years old. Her first novel was based on her experience about coming back to New York, how the Garcia girls lost their accents. She also wrote a nonfiction book, Once Upon a Quinceañera, about the tradition of throwing elaborate 15th birthday parties for young Latinas. And today is the birthday of the poet Louis Simpson, born Kingston, Jamaica, 1923, moved to New York City as a teenager. He served as a combat infantryman in some of the most intense fighting of World War II in Normandy and Arnhem, the Battle of the Bulge. Returned home suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, spent 6 months in a psychiatric hospital. His first book of poems, The Aravistes, published just a few years later. It's the birthday of the French novelist Henri Murger, born in Paris, 1822, famous for his book Scènes de la vie bohème, a fictionalized account of his own experiences as an impoverished writer living in the Latin Quarter, Paris's left bank. It became the basis for Puccini's opera La Bohème, the character of Rudolfo, based on Murger himself. And it was on this date, 1915, the woman known as Typhoid Mary was put into quarantine in the Bronx in New York. Her name was Mary Mallon. She worked as a cook in various wealthy households around New York City, and every household where she worked seemed to come down with typhoid fever. A doctor noticed this pattern of outbreaks among the wealthy. He figured they had all hired the same cook, finally tracked her down, questioned her. She did not take it well, especially when he asked her to provide a stool sample. She threatened him with a meat cleaver, but he had her arrested. They got the stool samples and discovered that she was a healthy carrier of typhoid. They made her promise to give up working as a cook. She broke the promise. 5 years later, they finally tracked her down, and she was put in quarantine for the rest of her life. Here's a poem for today by an unknown author. I saw a peacock with a fiery tail. I saw a peacock with a fiery tail. I saw a blazing comet drop down hail. I saw a cloud wrapped with ivy round. I saw an oak creep upon the ground. I saw a pismire swallow up a whale. I saw the sea brimful of ale. I saw a Venice glass full 15 feet deep. I saw a well full of men's tears that weep. I saw red eyes, all of a flaming fire. I saw a house bigger than the moon and higher. I saw the sun at 12 o'clock at night. I saw the man that saw this wondrous sight. A poem, I Saw a Peacock with a Fiery Tail. That's the Writer's Almanac for Saturday, March the 27th. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.